It's a big day in everyone's life. Graduation day. You've completed your studies. You've learned your lessons. And you've been taught by the best teachers around. It's time to spread your wings and move to a new challenge in your career. A new class of students is ready to take over and begin its education process. What they learn will be important to their careers in the coming years. Each will be seeking the valedictorian status. It's in with the new class and out with the graduates as another school year begins today. Coming to Daytona is a tough way to begin that school year because at the blackboard will be Professor Dale Earnhardt. He'll be trying for an unprecedented 5th win in a row. Get out your notebooks and your highlighters. The bell is ringing in another year of Busch Grand National Racing. ESPN, the world's leader in motorsports coverage, welcomes you to Daytona International Speedway and the Goody 300. We have been plagued by rain showers the past couple of days. It rained earlier today, but right now just partly cloudy skies. Hi everyone, I'm Bob Jenkins, and welcome to our annual Goody 300 coverage as we begin the Busch Grand National season, the annual renewal of the battle between Winston Cup drivers and the Busch Grand National Series regulars. 62 cars attempted to qualify for this race. 18 were unsuccessful and had to pack up and head for home. There has been quite a turnover in this series this year. There are 9 rookies in today's field, and a total of 14 drivers have indicated their intentions of running for Rookie of the Year status in 1994. But the favorite in this race today, well, it has to be Dale Earnhardt. He'll be going for 5 in a row and his 23rd overall win here at this facility. Is a Winston Cup regular the favorite here today? Well, that's a question that perhaps Dr. Jerry Punch can answer.
Thanks, Bob. You know, in the 12-year history of this Goody 300 at Daytona, it has never been won by a Busch Grand National regular. 4 different winners, all Winston Cup regulars with a lot of experience. And if you look today, it doesn't look much better. The front 5 rows, the top 10, not a single Busch Series regular there. But remember, it's been a good week for young drivers. Loy Allen set on the pole for the Daytona 500. And last Sunday, an up-and-coming young driver by the name of Mike Wallace won the ARCA 200. So, Benny Parsons, it's looking good for the youngsters.
Jerry, I think 1994 is a great year to be involved in Busch Grand National Racing because 22 of the 28 races ran in 1993 were won by either a Winston Cup regular or a Busch driver who's moved this year to the Winston Cup. I mean, it's going to be wide open for all the Busch drivers. Next year when we come back for 1995, there'll be names like Mike Garvey, Dennis Setzer, Andy Hillenberg, Tom Peck, household names, but you never heard of them this year. You know, Bob Jenkins mentioned there's 9 rookies in the race today. There are 10 rookies, guys, because we've got a rookie. ESPN has got Kyle Petty to be a pit road reporter. He doesn't have a lot of experience. He's got a lot of hair. He's their pole sitter, Michael Walter.
Well, thanks, Benny. I guess that hair joke is a payback for the breakfast of the morning. We are here with Michael Walter, who sat on the pole for the Busch Grand National race. It's a brand-new car. They've worked on it all winter. It's a brand-new season. And Michael's a brand-new man. He's got married since the last time he sat in a Busch Grand National car. I know you've been running pretty good in practice, and there's a lot of tough guys out here today, though, and a lot of young guys like Benny was talking about, so it's going to be tough. What are you going to do, man?
Well, we just I hope our main goal is to get a good start and hopefully get strung out to where we can go a little while without doing much of anything other than just run some laps off. Yesterday afternoon, the car was a little loose, and we changed it a little bit this morning and changed rear end gears a little bit. So basically, we don't really know what. I don't like to sit still with this car. You know, I like to work on it and change it, and just hopefully we've made the right changes.
You've been really, really good in the Busch cars. You've sat on the pole on numerous occasions. You've run up front. You've raced with Schrader. You've raced with Earnhardt. You've raced with Mark. All these guys that are Winston Cup guys. And like Benny said, a lot of the guys in here are the rookies. Do you think you're going to have to, like, team up with some of the Winston Cup guys and try to get ahead of some of those other guys so you really won't have to worry about it and you can concentrate on getting your car dialed in a little bit better?
Well, what I feel pretty sure of is that Earnhardt, Schrader, Ernie, Mark Martin, those guys, when it comes down to the end, will all wind up at the front of the pack. And, you know, if we'll be in with them, I'll feel good about that. Anytime you have somebody like, say, a Kenny Wallace or one of the young Busch drivers who have experience in this division, you really don't know what to expect out of them. So it's nice when the Winston Cup guys are there, but we're ready to take on all challengers. Jeff Green, a buddy of mine from Owensboro, Kentucky, put this car together from me. Another guy from Owensboro put the body on it for us, and got a connection from my hometown, and, you know, that's real important to me, and we're just looking forward to getting going.
Well, that's Michael Waltrip, and he's going to try to go out here today and win this one for Pat Ryder.
All right, Kyle, good job, and we welcome you to our coverage of Busch Grand National Racing in 1994. ESPN Speed World is being brought to you by Smooth Busch Beer and Easy Drinking Busch Light. Busch, the official beer of NASCAR. By Allied Signals Auto Light Spark Plugs, guaranteed for 2 years no matter how far you go. And by Goodyear, #1 in tires. Daytona International Speedway and our coverage of the Busch Grand National Goodies 300, set to go 120 laps of racing. You know, Michael Waltrip and Kyle Petty have been battling on the track for years, and you would bet that there would be a battle of sorts when the two met for Kyle's first interview here on ESPN. This is what happened earlier today in rehearsal.
Well, thanks, Benny. I guess that's a payback for the breakfast of the morning. We are here with Michael Waltrip, who's set on the pole for this race. It's a brand new car that they've worked on all winter. It's a brand new season, and Michael's a brand new man. He's got married since the last time he sat in a Busch Grand National car. So, what do you think about today? What do you think about your chances? Thanks. I appreciate that. I knew you were going to do that to me. Okay, keep that one. That's a keeper.
Not only did he have us fooled, but our audio person, Jack Stoker, was opening every microphone in this facility trying to find out what was wrong. Well, on a more serious note, there is 2 different tire manufacturers in battling here today. There are 11 drivers on Hoosiers and 33 on Goodyears. More on that from our other pit reporter. Here's John Kernan.
Bob, how can I follow something like that Kyle Petty thing? Michael had told me, include me in, he was going to do that. I said, yeah, go ahead, give Kyle a little bit of trouble there. But just talking about 2 tire manufacturers, the last time we saw Hoosier in a Busch Grand National race, Ward Burton pulled away, dominated the last half of Atlanta in the last race of the season. But we all know what has happened over in the Winston Cup garage. All the Hoosier teams have switched over to Goodyear for the Daytona 500. And some of the Goodyear drivers in the Busch Series expressed some concern about the Hoosier drivers that they may have the same problem in today's race. But we don't expect it to happen. That's because this tire is somewhat differently constructed than the Hoosiers Winston Cup tire. It's also a softer compound. And some of the more experienced guys in the Busch Series, like Joe Nemechek, Robert Presley, ran a lot of laps yesterday afternoon in the final practice session. Bob, they say these tires felt great.
All right, thank you very much, John. Let's take a look at the starting lineup. There are 44 cars and drivers set to go. Front row, Michael Waltrip, car number 30, qualifying at 184.5, and Ken Schrader in car 52 at 183.8. In the second row, it'll be Joe Nemechek, former series champion in 87, and Harry Gant in his final Goody start in car 7. The third row, Joe Bessie in car 97, and Mark Martin in number 60. The fourth row for today's race, there's the guy going for 5 in a row, Dale Earnhardt, and Randy LaJoie outside in car number 20. The fifth row, Phil Parsons starts in car number 29, and Kenny Wallace in car number 8. Back to row number 6. It is Mike Wallace in car number 9 and the 25 of Hermie Sadler. In row number 7, Ricky Craven in car number 2 and Mike Garvey in number 0. The 8th row consists of Dennis Setzer in 59 and Robert Presley in 99. Row number 9, it's Ernie Irvin in car 28 and Andy Hillenberg in 42. The 10th row consists of Doug Heverin in 75 and Larry Pearson in 92.
Row 11, we find Randy Porter and Sterling Marlin. Row 12, Dale Jarrett and Bill Elliott, 2 Winston Cup veterans. Then Jim Bound driving his brother's car of last year on the inside of row 13 aside Perry Labonte. Then Mike McLaughlin in row 14 and Elton Sawyer back in Busch Grand National in 94. Morgan Shepherd, Chad Chapman makes up row 15. Tim Feedle and Rodney Combs back in row 16. Rodney's driving for Richard Petty this year. Randy McDonald out of Canada and Bobby Labonte in row 17. Tom Peck driving for Steve Grissom, and Tracy Leslie makes up row 18. In row 19, we find Roy Payne and Chad Little.
Now, the rest of the starters were in on provisionals. Mike Stefanik in number 1 and David Green in 44. In the 21st row, it's Bobby Dotter and Tommy Houston continuing his string of starts in this series. And in row number 22, it's Kirk Shelmerdine and Johnny Benson. Now, about those provisionals, let's show you exactly who makes up this field. The fastest 38 cars in qualifying were in through time trials, and then 6 provisional starters. We have 3 provisionals based on the Busch Series driver points, 1 from the Busch Grand National North Series driver points, and 2 owner provisionals. That makes up the 44 cars that begin this race. Well, there's a look at Daytona International Speedway, the world center of racing. Now let's break it down and show you exactly what it consists of. The front stretch, 3,600 feet. That actually includes 3 1,200 feet straightaways or areas. The back stretch, 3,600 feet. That's a straightaway. In the corners, the banking is at 31 degrees. The back straightaway is banked at 6 degrees, and through the tri-oval here, the banking is at 18 degrees. The track is just a little bit damp. As I said earlier, we have had showers move through the area this morning. Didn't really soak the track. Got a little bit damp. Kyle, are there things that a driver concerns himself with at this time with the track just been rained on?
Yeah, when you're getting ready to drop the green flag on a race, you're concerned about every little speck on the racetrack. And when it's rained like it does down here, it rains off and on, it blows through. It can be raining on one end of this racetrack and not on the other end of the racetrack. So that's a major concern. You barrel off into turn 1 and you don't see anything, and all of a sudden, halfway down the backstretch, your windshield starts fogging up a little bit. You know it's going to be wet when you get to 3. Any little damp spot on the racetrack can be really, really treacherous for a car and for the driver. So they're going to run some caution laps. Daytona does a tremendous job of drying this place out. The wind's blowing really strong today. So even if the racetrack is a little damp, it'll dry out really quick.
Yeah, the rain shower that moved by here about 15, 20 minutes ago was more like a fog that contained a little dampness. So it really didn't get the track soaking wet. It did, however, get it slightly damp. We're riding with Mark Martin, who will be carrying one of our in-car cameras in today's event, and the other in-car camera is with Sterling Marlin in car number 4. There have been some cars in and out of the pits during this caution period, or the period before we actually throw the green flag. Let's get a description from Dr. Punch.
Well, Bob, 2 cars came on pit road. Mike Wallace came down to pull some tape off the grill, but the more serious car down here, Larry Pearson, has been in twice with his car number 92. Apparently they have a miss in the engine. They changed ignition boxes, did not cure it. He has gone back out, and he will try to catch it to the field as we are getting the green flag here at Daytona.
Indeed, the green flag comes out for 120 laps of racing, and very quickly the inside row, led by Michael Waltrip, jumps out into the front. Ken Schrader, not a real good start as the cars head down into turns 1 and 2.
There we see Joe Nemechek latched on the back of Michael Waltrip, trying to get away from that third place car.
When the green flag dropped, Nemechek jumped in behind Michael Waltrip and went to second, but now we're seeing Schrader and Harry Gant move up and challenge Michael for that lead. The battle for second position. That's Harry Gant down on the inside and Schrader on the outside.
Looks like Harry Gant wants to make his last run here in the Busch 300, a great one.
He and Schrader side by side as they cross the line, but Michael Waltrip is your leader of lap number 1.
Inside of Mark Martin's car, right behind Kenny Schrader. That's Nemechek in the 87 car on the inside. Nemechek comes up.
This is our Winn-Dixie in-car camera carried by Mark. Look how close he moves in on Kenny Schrader to get a good draft down the backstretch. Now into the 31 degrees of banking once again, and Nemechek goes slightly ahead of Mark in turn 3.
And Earnhardt is right behind Nemechek, trying to get down the inside.
Michael Waltrip continues the lead. This is the 5th time that he has led a Goody's 300.
outside Mark Martin's car. Looking back here, Nemechek still on the inside.
There's a little bit of moisture coming off of our camera lens, so there still may be some moisture in the air, but it's not enough to cause a caution flag at this point. There's Dale Earnhardt, who's beginning to move toward the front of the field.
The yellow car there, my little brother, Phil Parsons, right behind Earnhardt. Well, that's Mac 2. That's Ernie Irvin. I'm sorry. I thought that was Phil.
Boy, Ernie has moved up well here in the first few laps. Ernie started 17th. He now runs in 8th position alongside Randy LaJoie.
Can't get by. Now Earnhardt's trying to go by on the inside of Mark. It's Randy LaJoie in the 20 car. Ernie Irvin in the yellow 28.
And Kenny Wallace in the number 8 car. While they're side-by-side racing in back of the front three, they separate themselves a little bit from the rest of the field.
Man, I tell you what, Bob, this is a great race.
It always is. This is one of the best races of the entire Speed Week. Here's Sterling Marlin go to the inside of Phil, Benny.
Yep. There we see Kenny Wallace in the black number 8, the TIC car.
We might explain that Ned Jarrett, the voice that you normally hear on our telecast, will be with us later in this event, but right now he has other obligations with CBS. Of course, he's involved in the telecast of the Daytona 500 tomorrow. Look at the movement down the backstretch.
These cars are running, folks, believe it or not, they're running about 190 miles an hour right there. The 3 car, 190, and 28 laps right on the back. Ernie Irvin. Meanwhile, Sterling Marlin closes up, trying to close up on the back of Ernie.
Ernie Irvin has really made a good move here in the opening 6 laps of this race. He's in 7th position. Nemechek leading this group, the second group of cars. The first 3. Oh, we have a spin up in turn number 2. Car up into the wall. He pins someone else against the wall. And now another car becomes
Another car is spun
on the apron of the track.
Now we've got a fire down there in the middle of the corner.
And others hit the brakes and slide to a stop.
We're still crashing. It's like Chad Chaffin, that red car right in the center. And is that the 74 with Johnny Benson that just got in the back of him?
Well, we have a lot of damaged race cars.
Yes, that's Chad Chaffin in the 16. Tim Fiedel in the white car, the 55. There we see Randy McDonald, the blue and white car. He's moving.
It's our first caution of the afternoon here in the Goodies 300 from Daytona International Speedway. We'll return with more after this. First caution of the afternoon here at the Goodies 300 at Daytona, and this is the reason that we have momentarily stopped the competition. It involved an accident up in between turns 2 and 3, Benny.
And 10 cars involved. The blue car, that's Mike Garvey. The 75 car that's in the side of him is Doug Hebron. And boom, along comes, is that the 63 car or the 1 car? The white, that's 63 Jim Baum that nails Garvey right in the side. And meanwhile, we're going to see other cars come spinning in. There's another car comes. That's Roy Payne. The red car, I can't really tell the number on that. Ooh, look at Mike Wallace go down. And the 74, Johnny Benson comes in. That's Chad Chaffin in the first red car that I couldn't tell.
Watch the left-hand side of your screen here. There is Garvey going up into the wall and pinning Hebron.
Yes, right. Now they're going to come down off the wall, and the Garvey car is going to get hit again. What I really don't understand, look at the smoke to the left of them. The 34 car is sideways. We're going to need some help from the guys down in, and boom, along comes Jim Baum right in the side. We're going to definitely need some help from the guys down in the pits to try to sort this thing out as to what happened.
We count 10 cars involved. John Kernan is down on pit road.
And, Bob, one of those cars belongs to Mike McLaughlin. And, Mike, it happened right there, and it was something you said you couldn't avoid?
Yeah, he spun right in front of us. Had no place to go. It just a little disappointed. The Fiddle Faddle High 2 crew is they worked awful hard to get here, and we've been fast. And just a bad situation, but we'll put it together and go to Rockingham next week.
Now, I haven't had a chance to look at the monitor. Who spun in front of you, and was there any contact, or did they just lose it?
The Zero car just lost it up top, come down across the racetrack, and I tried squeezing between another car and the Zero car, but as I was going around him, he was coming back up the track at that point. So kind of no place to go, you know.
That's Mike McLaughlin down in here in the garage area. They're working on the car. There's a lot of damage. There's some A-frame damage in the left front suspension, and they're going to have a good afternoon's work to get this car back out there.
It appears, however, that there are no drivers injured. Everybody has gotten out of the car. Mike Stefanik, we believe, was down on the ground with possible injuries to his leg, but he did get up and walk to the ambulance, so don't think we're going to have any serious injuries as a result of this 10-car accident that has brought a temporary halt to the racing in the Goodies 300 at Daytona. We're riding the pace car. You can see it pulls down on pit road, allowing the field to get the green flag and resume racing in the Goodies 300. Michael Waltrip, your leader after our first caution of the afternoon because of a multi-car tangle in turn number 1.
And Michael Waltrip has led every lap so far in that Pennzoil Pontiac. Says he's not to be headed. There we see the yellow car right in the center of the screen was Dale Jarrett. There he is.
Racing with the 99 of Robert Presley. Up on top is Ricky Craven in number 2.
Uh-oh. I spoke too soon.
Harry Gant wants the lead, and Ken Schrader wants second. Now Nemechek will join the draft at the bottom of the racetrack and put Michael Waltrip all the way back to 4th.
Leaving Michael with no place to go. Pretty good get back to Mark Martin in the Winn-Dixie car.
That's because he's battling side by side with another car. And here is Harry Gant leading the Goodies 300. This is the final time that he'll compete in this race. As you know, Harry Gant is hanging up after this season. John Kernan now is with one of those involved in that crash a few laps ago, Doug Heverin. John?
Well, Doug, I know it's got to be very disappointing, but you are okay. You have been checked out in the hospital. The Chris Carey and the crew are working on the car. Were you able to see exactly what happened up there?
No, we were just going into one. I was following McLaughlin, and the Zero car got sideways. I don't know if he got hit or what, but got sideways, just came up the track, and he was just right, came in the line that I had chosen to go in. And I just gathered him up, and then just everybody else just piled in.
Now, you've been checked out in the infield care center. Some other drivers in there. Everybody look all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. We're all right, I think.
Okay, thank you very much, Doug. Bob?
One of those drivers moving over to Busch Grand National Racing from the modified ranks. Stefanik and McLaughlin also included in that group. Hey, look at Dale Earnhardt go to the bottom of the racetrack and move up to, what, 6th or 5th? Anyway, he's moving up.
5th. Yes, 5th, but he's being challenged pretty strong on the outside. Oh, there's Sterling Marlin going by Dale Earnhardt, or trying to. He does it. Oh, Earnhardt's hung out to drive. Here comes Randy LaJoy in the blue car. Maybe he can help Earnhardt get back to the front, as Earnhardt has lost about 4 spots. Kenny Wallace, the black 8 car on the outside.
Looking back on Mark Martin.
Looking from Mark Martin's car, Sterling Marlin.
Battle of the in-car cameras here, looking at each other.
Meanwhile, a challenge for the lead. Kenny Schrader wants it. Down in turn 1, and he's got it. Now, can he make it back to the start-finish line? Now, Earnhardt here comes on the inside. Wow, look at the run he's got behind Nemechek. Nemechek moves over, and Earnhardt's going to... No, he's not.
Makes it 3 wide down into turn number 3, I should say.
He is going to go in the middle of this group, right between Kenny Wallace and Joe Nemechek.
And he makes it work. Meanwhile, Ken Schrader now has the lead of this race as they come down through the tri-oval and cross the line once again. And the side-by-side battle now is with Ernie Irvin and Dale Earnhardt. Let's go down to Kyle Petty, who's with Jim Bound, another one of those drivers involved in the crash.
Yeah, we're standing here with We're standing here with Jim Bound, who was also involved in that accident, and, you know, on the replays, talking to the guys in the booth, it seems like you had no place to go, and your car, looking at it over there, hit a ton. Did you see anything that happened?
Well, yeah, I got started up in the middle of 1 and 2. Zero car and someone else got together. We tried to get the Lysol Product Chevrolet stopped. We got down to the apron, but by gosh, by the time we got there, they'd come back down the racetrack and hit the zero car, and then I stopped. And then somebody else come and tried to knock the lick out of my poor Lysol Chevrolet. So it was a tough day, you know. We got it running really good, driving really good. I felt confident in it and comfortable, so I thought, heck, I'll take it to the apron. I can miss this deal, but boy, hard to miss one here. I guess you know about that. But I got to say hi to my kids back home, and I'm all right.
Yeah, he's doing better now, but I tell you what, this is not the way he had for starting off the season.
That's for sure, but those things happen, and Jim Bound will be back for another race. We'd like to say hi to and welcome to the broadcast, Ned Jarrett.
Well, hello, Bob.
Hey, Ned. Good to see you.
Great race going on here.
Oh, man, it's great. Look at this. 3 abreast down through here. Schrader has the lead. There's a battle for second.
Michael Waltrip hung up right in the middle. Mark Martin backs off just a little bit, gives him a little room. Meanwhile, Earnhardt, through the Harry Gantt, that green car, was leading just a couple of laps ago. Now look at that.
They're 2 by 2 as they come off of corner number 4 onto the tri-oval. Schrader with the lead, but here comes the 4-car of Marlin to challenge.
He has come from 22nd position. He has made a good run up through the field.
Through the tri-oval and into 1. Sterling has the lead. Now they're going to be 3 wide coming off of corner number 2. Backstretch.
Schrader looked like he got a little bit loose there. Probably did. In the middle, it didn't have much air to lean on.
We got 3 yellow cars. Last year it was black cars that were so prominent. This year we got 3 yellow cars leading the Goody 300. There's Mark Martin looking at those 3 yellow cars. That's Ernie on the inside, and directly in front of him is the Michael Waltrip car. Waltrip goes down, tries to draft by Sterling Marlin, comes to the line, dead heat for the line.
Once again, a side-by-side battle for the lead. Into 1. Marlin and Waltrip wheel to wheel.
Looks like Martin's going to help Michael Waltrip move on away there.
It looks like that outside line is just pulling away. Meanwhile, is that Earnhardt in 3rd place? Sure is.
Yep.
He finally found the right line. He's been on the inside, couldn't go any place. Now he chose the outside and moved up to 3rd spot.
The 44 car, David Green, smoking on the apron of the racetrack in turn 2.
Slim Jim car.
It's owned by Bobby Labonte, who's driving in this race. He might even be in that picture there someplace. We just knew where.
Got to search for him.
Ed, we talked about that at the top of the show about these guys getting the experience, and there's 9 rookies in the race today. They can catch up real quick in a race like this, can't they?
That's an education for them, no doubt about it.
21 laps completed out of 120 in the Goody's 300. Great racing here at Daytona in the Goody's 300. Michael Waltrip has the lead once again as he comes down to lead Mark Martin, Ken Schrader, and Dale Earnhardt. We'll be back with more in just a moment. Stay with us. International Speedway as Speed Weeks 94 continues with the Goody's 300. Here they come down to complete another lap. It's Michael Waltrip in the lead, then Mark Martin, Ken Schrader, Dale Earnhardt, and Sterling Marlin. We understand the 44 car of David Green broke a rod, and he's taking it behind the wall.
That's bad news. Breaking a connecting rod is bad news. That's down on the inside, and it just tears everything apart. You take that one out and use it as a boat anchor.
Tough way to start the season off, too. David stayed up in the point standings all year long last year, dropped back a little bit in the last race, but had high hopes for maybe trying to win his first championship. Of course, he's not out of it yet, but this is not the way he wanted to start.
John Kernan can update us on Mike Stefani.
Bob, I've just talked to Julie Stefanik, Mike's wife. She just walked out of the infield care center. Mike is still inside being administered to. Says he's feeling some soreness in his left ankle and also on the big toe on his left foot. She also said that something came through and cut the right ankle, so they'll need to put in 2 or 3 stitches. But other than that, Julie says her husband's okay. Good. Doesn't sound like anything serious. Tim Fedewa, by the way, who was one of those involved in the 10-car crash, has pulled back out onto the racetrack. There's the lead draft.
Michael Walter pulling down to get a little air off the car he's coming up to lap.
Look how fast those guys are going by. And that car's probably running 100 miles an hour. Or more, yeah. Here comes Mark Martin on the inside, tries to take the lead. He's got some help down there.
Let's see if Martin can take over the lead here. There are 14 cars in this lead draft. He does go to the front. Looks like that Ken Schrader, who's drafting with him on the bottom, will go to second. Earnhardt to third. Marlin may go to fourth here. You know, he and Michael are going to battle side by side down the racetrack.
If Mark Martin can make it back to the start-finish line, some of the guys told me that he's never led a lap in the Busch race here in Daytona. Is that Mark Martin? And last year he won 7 races in that Winn-Dixie Ford. 7 of these Busch Grand National races.
But didn't make the field in his own car here a year ago.
Yeah.
Just simply wouldn't go fast enough.
We understand that the 30 car of Michael Waltrip reports that the car is pushing. That's the reason he's dropping back a little.
So Mark Martin has led a lap in the Goody 300.
Now it's a 3-car breakaway. And there is Hermie Sadler, who has come into the pits. Young driver from Virginia in the Virginia is for Lovers car. He's back out there.
Yes, Michael Waltrip definitely has some problems because he's backpedaling pretty good. There we see him on the inside. And what is he, back to about 15th already? Terry Labonte, the white number 14. It's Chad Little, the black and yellow car, number 23. I guess that's Harry Gann on the inside.
So Michael goes from running for contention for the lead way back to the end of this lead draft, which is about 14th or 15th position.
And there the Bobby Labonte in that red and white car right on the inside of Michael Waltrip. The Dentine car, that's Bobby Labonte. He'll be running that car about 14, 16 Busch Grand National races this year.
We knew he was in that pack somewhere.
Found him back there somewhere. We found him. Michael found him for us.
But when Michael Waltrip started having his problem backing up, it let those front 3 cars break away from the pack. Michael, I think, just trying to hang on here now until he can make a pit stop, make an adjustment on his car.
Moving to the inside of Dennis Setzer in car 59, the one that Robert Presley has driven for the last couple of years, but not anymore. Here is Martin leading Schrader and Earnhardt.
And you can see that breakaway that Ned Jarrett was talking about. The biggest lead of the afternoon. Look, we got a caution flag.
There's debris on the racetrack, and so the second caution of the afternoon flies.
And 28, 29 laps. I would guess we'll see some pit stops, don't you, Ned?
I would guess, yes. I would guess that we would see some.
Especially Michael Waltrip.
Yeah, right. And Sterling Marlin also had started to drop back there the last few laps. He's back there. He's back behind Michael Waltrip.
There's the caution flag that is being displayed. We understand that Dale Earnhardt is the one that brought the debris to the attention of the NASCAR officials and has caused the second caution of the day. Here come those running up front. Back to the caution flag.
Well, they haven't taken the flag yet, so the pit road is not open.
Right.
Now they'll come by and pick up the pace car. Will pick them up, and the next time by, pit road will open up, and we'll see.
We'll be back with more of our coverage of the Goody's 300 Busch Grand National race after this. Speedway and the Busch Grand National Goody's 300. Today's overhead shots courtesy of the Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes from Pompano Beach, Florida. At the controls, Captain Richard Daniels from Burbank, California. A long parade of cars down pit road. Just about everybody is heading in for some service during this second caution flag. We have completed 30 laps of this event. Mark Martin, who's the leader of the race, is in. So is Ken Schrader and Dale Earnhardt.
Why don't you just name the field? It'd be easier to tell them who's not in the race. Let's go to John Kernan down on pit road.
Well, Michael Waltrip was in. We told you he's having a problem with the car pushing. They will change all 4 tires. They're also going to make a spoiler adjustment. I just saw Sterling Marlin in. You mentioned he was running well. They have also made a chassis adjustment in the left rear as Mark Martin heads down pit road. Left side's going on for Michael Waltrip as they're sitting. He's full of gas. On to the final lug nut. Michael kills the car as he starts to go. Finally gets it refired and heads down pit road.
Man, oh man, Michael is going to be about 25th when he gets this Pennzoil Pontiac back on the racetrack.
Yeah, he lost a significant amount of track positions there.
Meanwhile, the first car out of pit road was Mark Martin, wasn't it, Dan?
I think so.
Harry Gant remains on pit road as they're still working on the left side of that car. Now they've got it down, but Harry
can't go. The car is stalled.
Phil Parsons is also still in the pits. Gant's car just sitting there. Now it's rolling.
He started up and seemed to drive away. Tracy Leslie sitting there in the Detroit Gasket automobile.
35 car of Randy Porter also among the last.
Look at the water coming. Was that gasoline or water coming out of the back of Harris' car? I guess that was gasoline coming out the back. Because he spilled just a little bit during a pit stop. Mannheim Auctions is sponsored on Harris' car this year.
All right, so some pit stops have been completed. Before we get the green flag, we'll take another break and be right back at Daytona. Mark Martin had no problems. In first, out first. Ken Schrader lost about 5. Dale Earnhardt lost several positions. Ernie
10,
Irvin.
Bob. 10.
No,
3 from 13 is 10.
Irvin lost, or rather gained 1, and Randy LaJoy lost
14, Bob. He lost 14.
Who did?
Randy LaJoy lost 14. Went in 5th.
Oh, that's 19th, isn't it? Okay. Michael Waltrip was a big loser during those series of pit stops. He, of course, was having a pushing problem, and really the caution was a benefit to him, but he did lose some track position.
Lost a lot of track position, but he had to fix the car. Pushing is when you come off the corner, you turn the steering wheel, and the car doesn't want to turn, and it just slows the car down. It just takes all the horsepower trying to get the car off the corner. Maybe Kyle Petty, he's been driving last year and this year. It's been 5 years since I've driven, Kyle, but pushing just kills the thing off the corner, kills the horsepower, right?
Especially with one of these restrictor plate motors, and even in these V6s, it seems to hurt them more than anybody else. I think when Michael and some of these Winston Cup guys, we've been fighting loose all week down here in the Winston Cup cars. In the 125-mile races, the cars that could run pretty good and were a little bit tight seem to check out from the field. So I think everybody's been overcompensating for the looseness in their Winston Cup car. They come over, they work on their Busch cars, they get them where they think they're pretty good, and all of a sudden the tires get a little hot, the racetrack gets a little run in, and all of a sudden they're plowing up off the corner, and it's just like Michael. You go from 2nd to 15th in 1 or 2 laps.
Not something that I would necessarily like to experience on the racetrack. Let's go to Jerry Punch for an update.
Guys, some of the leaders pitting down further in pit road toward turn 1. Harry Gant had a problem. He had a jack brake on the car, so they had to go borrow a jack, and they changed all 4 tires eventually. Kenny Schrader came in, changed right side tires, but had a radio problem. Couldn't figure out why the radio wouldn't work, and they realized no one had screwed the antenna on top of the car. They screwed that in, and now it works fine. Mark Martin pitted. No tires for Martin. Gas only. Remember, these guys can make it on one more stop around lap 80. But problems for Tracy Leslie in the car number 72. He has only 4th gear. That is hung in 4th gear. That's as far as he can go right now, and pit stops are going to be a problem for him. Let's check in for John Kernan.
Jerry Sterling Marlin took a couple of rounds of wedge in the left rear. The car was loose when after they changed the tires as Mark Martin, Bill Elliott, and Ernie Irvin lead them down to the green flag. They brought the tires in, checked the pressures, and the right front on Marlin's car was in an equalized situation, so that they may have gone too far in that left rear. Couldn't they, Benny, if that right front tire was causing that problem?
Yes, they could have. Is that Dale Earnhardt on the bottom that's having so much trouble getting up to speed? I don't know. We'll have to check back and see. There, right there, the black car on the inside. Is that Earnhardt?
Yeah.
Terry Labonte giving him a push there.
Running alongside Rodney Combs.
And that's Tom Peck in the 31 car, the Channel Lock car. Last year's 93 Busch Grand National Champion Steve Grissom's car. Well, maybe Earnhardt's up to speed now. I was really concerned that something had happened to his car.
He just got a little bit of a slow start, and it doesn't take much. with these V6 engines restricted, takes them a while to get going.
Martin, Elliott, and Irvin are your front three.
Yeah, it definitely looks like Earnhardt's up to speed now.
Yeah. Passing the 99 of Robert Presley with these. That's Terry Labonte there in number 14 coming along behind Dale. As they pass Mike Wallace in number 9. Here's Dale Earnhardt, started 7th. His highest position so far in the race has been 3rd on lap 30. He's currently 13th, and that is the lowest he has been in the field. And he has not led a lap so far in this event.
There's Hermie Sadler down on the inside. He's back on the racetrack. Uh-oh.
There's Dennis Setzer. He's slow on the racetrack.
Going in the 3rd corner.
I'll tell you, the Busch guys, the regulars, are having, many of them having tough times here today. We saw David Green go out. Now Setzer and Hermie Sadler made an unscheduled pit stop earlier.
Larry Pearson had some problems to begin with in the 92 car, the Stanley car. But meanwhile, Mark Martin's not having too much problems. And Bill Elliott had a great pit stop to get back to the front or get to the front.
This is from Mark's car looking back on Elliott.
Bill started back in 24th position. Sitting right there now, the leader's bumper.
Here's a field summary for you. Watch for your favorite driver to see where he is running. Fords have not fared well in this particular race here at Daytona. As a matter of fact, the last time a Ford won this event, well, it happened before it became the Busch Grand National Series. It happened back in 1980 when Jack Ingram was driving.
I believe he was driving the Carolina Tool car then. I believe.
Really?
I believe that's whose car he was driving. He drove their car on Super Speed racing back then. I saw Bobby Hawkins, who owned Carolina Tool, down in the pits. He says he's looking to get back in racing.
With his son. Here comes Ernie on the outside of Bill Elliott. Now, Kenny Schrader in the AC Delco car behind Bill Elliott, and meanwhile, there's Kenny Wallace right behind Ernie Irvin. So, who do you follow? Schrader's chosen Bill Elliott. Now, then Mark Martin moves over to give Elliott a little hand and put Ernie Irvin by the wayside.
Well, we saw Dennis Setzer having a problem a minute ago. Let's go to the pits and find out what happened.
Well, Ned, Dennis pulled it in. Moments before he got in, I asked his crew chief, Ricky Pearson, what he thought the problem might be. Ricky just shook his head. They brought the car in. They shut the engine off. Before they shut it off, it sounded as if it was running on only about 4 cylinders. So they had pushed it behind the fence, and they are going to go to work on the car right now. In fact, Ricky and the crew are looking at it now. We'll hopefully be able to talk to Dennis in a minute. Let's go down pit road to Dr. Jerry Punch.
John, as we're watching the car number 60, the Winn-Dixie car, Mark Martin now running behind Bill Elliott, talking about Martin's incredible string in Busch Grand National Racing. Last year he ran 14 races. Of the 14 he ran, he had 5 times he was involved in a crash, 2 he had mechanical failures, and 7 times he managed to finish. Every race he finished, he won. But incredibly, he has never done well here at Daytona, as you mentioned early. Until about 15 minutes ago, he had never led a lap here in a Busch Grand National race. In fact, the past 2 years in a row, he hasn't even made the field. This is quite a change for Mark Martin and the Winn-Dixie team.
He's in second place at the moment as Bill Elliott has assumed command of this event.
And I think we need to really draw attention to the fact that the 28 car, the Mack Tools car that Ernie Irvin is driving, is a Ford. We've always associated him with General Motors cars in the Busch Grand National. That is a Ford.
There's the serial on Bill Elliott, lap number 17. He was 8th, back to 11th, and back to 12th. Beginning his movement forward by the 29th lap, he was 6th, and on the 39th circuit, he comes into the lead.
Well, it looks like he's pretty racy, too.
Sure does.
Comes Earnhardt way down on the inside, trying to take over that 4th spot from Schrader. Labonte has been following Earnhardt all the way through the pack from about 20th spot. He once again chooses Earnhardt.
Ernie Irvin just went by Schrader coming off of turn 2. Now Earnhardt trying to move around him.
1/3 of this event has been completed. That puts lap number 40 in the books. And once again, Earnhardt, along with Terry Labonte, go to the bottom side of the racetrack through turns 1 and 2, and they're going to put Kenny Schrader a couple of positions back. And Kyle Petty is standing with Dennis Setzer. Kyle?
Yeah, Dennis was just pulled behind the wall here. And, you know, when you came down pit road, you didn't get up to speed on that last restart. And you came down pit road, the thing sounded like it was running on 2 cylinders. What seems to be the problem?
We had something to go through the radiator for one thing there. We may have had a rocker arm kick off of that thing.
Okay, they're working on the car trying to get it fixed so they can get back out there. Dennis is running for the championship this year, so that's about it from here.
All right, thank you, Kyle.
Mark Martin moves over trying to get a little bit of help from Ernie Irvan, but he looks up in the mirror, realizes Ernie's in big trouble. That's not the place to be. But meanwhile, Earnhardt pulls up on the outside, kind of closes the door. Mark Martin hung down on the inside with Ernie Irvan.
We got some great racing going on here, but let us explain, if we can, the reference that Kyle made at the beginning of the show of that's a payback for an incident that happened during a breakfast a couple of days ago. It was at the IROC breakfast, and here was the exchange. Benny, who was MC of that breakfast, asked Kyle if he got to keep all of the IROC money from his car owner in Winston Cup, Felix Sabates. And Kyle said, I have to give it all to Felix. Benny says, well, what does Felix let you do? And Kyle says, he lets me keep my hair, and he pounds Benny on his bald head and says, I guess you had the wrong car owner. And it brought down the house.
It was how quick.
It was private.
Yeah, it was a classic Pettyism.
Okay, Earnhardt has just about caught. You see those things hanging down around? Well, we'll get back to that shot in just a little bit as Earnhardt goes for the lead.
How about that? From what appeared to be a poor restart when we went back to green from our most recent caution to the lead now as Earnhardt moves side by side with Elliott into 3 on the bottom side of the racetrack. Dale Earnhardt comes to the front. Now let's see what Terry Labonte can do with Bill Elliott.
Well, we talked about Mark Martin leading the Goody's 300 for the first time. Bill Elliott just got through leading the Goody's 300 for his first time.
So Bill Elliott is second now, and Dale Earnhardt, who's going for his 5th consecutive win here in the Goody's 300, has the lead. Of the Busch Grand National Goody's 300 from Daytona International Speedway. It is Dale Earnhardt who leads this event with Bill Elliott running in 2nd position. In 3rd is Terry Labonte. 4th is Mark Martin, then Ken Schrader and Ernie Irvan. Riding along with Mark Martin.
That's the MW Windows car of Terry Labonte, directly in front of Mark. Now, I was going to tell you this a little bit ago, Bob. When you look out the rear window, see that thing dangling in the back of Mark Martin's car?
Yep.
That's the strap that holds the rear the roof flaps.
Oh.
You know, the deal when the car turns backwards, the flaps come up. That's the thing will not let them fly over. That keeps them at that level. That's a washer on the very bottom of that cable. It goes up and stops, and that allows the flaps to stand straight up.
And I'll tell you what, NASCAR has apparently solved that problem, because during the Twin 125s last Thursday, we saw both Richie Petty and Chuck Bound come down through here, and under normal circumstances, those cars would have lifted off the ground, and those roof flaps popped up like they should and kept the cars on the ground. And it's good to see that something appearing to be that simple has solved that problem.
Yes. It worked like a champ.
Did.
As we watch Earnhardt lead Bill Elliott, I will tell you that Ricky Craven pulled his DuPont car behind the wall. Also, Phil Parsons, I don't see him on the racetrack. I saw him come down pit road just a moment ago, and I don't see him on the racetrack, so evidently he's behind pit wall.
So Ricky Craven, another one of those drivers that was looking forward to getting off to a good start, trying to win the Busch Championship this year.
This is the 11th race, 11th Goody's 300, in which Dale Earnhardt has led at least 1 lap.
Tell you what, he lost a lot of positions during that pit stop, but whatever they did during that pit stop, they sure solved his problem because he was about a 5th place car, and right now he does look like the cream of the crop. If that yellow car on the inside of Michael Waltrip gets up there, we'll find out just who's the toughest.
Michael is going towards the front. He came out. We documented the fact that he had a long pit stop, but he has been mowing them off, coming back up through the pack.
And we can see him right on the bottom of the racetrack as we see Earnhardt right on the top of the racetrack.
And one other driver that we told you had a bad pit stop was Harry Gant. He couldn't hardly get out of the pits under his own power. Finally did as we watch Michael Waltrip now move to the inside of Randy LaJoie and take another position away. And now he moves to the inside of the 8 car driven by Kenny Wallace. He is on his way to the front. Now he's going to challenge Ernie Irvan.
Tell you what, Michael Waltrip's car does look awfully fast right now. Ernie comes down, tries to
discourage
Michael from going on the inside.
That doesn't work.
No.
Here comes Morgan Shepherd.
Yep, Shepherd
moving right on in there.
The race for second place is Bill Elliott is passed by Terry Labonte. Here comes Martin Martin on the inside of Elliott, trying to take over the 3rd spot. Schrader's going to follow him, and look, Michael Waltrip has caught that group.
He's just going right through him like a thrashing machine.
Where is Phil Parsons? Benny asks. Unfortunately, he's with Dr. Punch.
Exactly, guys. I found Phil Parsons, and Phil's having the wind blow hair in his eyes. Never happened to your brother when I interviewed him. Phil, what happened today? You had a good run going.
Yeah, we did, Jerry. Something happened to the distributor. I don't know if the rotor button broke, and it broke the distributor cap. I was going through 3 and 4, and the thing just shut off. We got behind on that caution. We were a little bit loose to start with, got behind on the caution. We put a rubber in the right front, and Harry and I got hooked up. It looked like we were in pretty good shape. The car was feeling better, and I think we were headed for a good run, but the thing just shut off.
Spoke with your car owner, Marcia Parsons, said you guys had a really good week. The car running really well. Very optimistic about 94.
Well, we really are. We've got some real good people that help us. Cliff's the only full-time guy I got, but we've got a bunch of guys that help, that have other jobs, and we've got a great sponsor in Matchbox and White Rose Collectibles, and I just, I think we'll be back at Atlanta, be pretty strong.
Phil Parsons out of it here at Daytona. Let's check in with John Kernan.
You know, Jerry, all week long, Ricky Craven, who's talked to people about how good his car was running, he really thought he had a great shot today, but Ricky, when you pulled down pit road, sounded like something wrong in the engine compartment.
Yeah, I thought we had a shot. The DuPont Chevrolet had been good all week, but we lost the alternator on that restart. Car picked up a skip, and I think the belt might have come off and got caught up in the oil pump belt. I'm only speculating, but it's unfortunate for everybody. DuPont Chevrolet, but we'll be back.
That's Ricky Craven, Bob. They'll be back in Rockingham.
All right, thank you, John. A little humor there from the doctor, Benny, on the hair on the Parsons family, huh?
Yeah,
I like that.
I noticed that.
Everybody's going to give you a tough time this year.
And while all that was going on, I'm sure the fans saw that yellow car just go right on through that pack and take the lead. That's Michael Waltrip.
Tell you what, I think that just told the rest of the crews that they better pay attention to make some adjustments like Michael Waltrip did, because his car, whatever they did on it, is just so strong.
The 21 car of Morgan Shepherd is running right in the middle of this lead group.
Looks like him right on the inside. Yes, it is.
He started
of Terry Labonte.
Yeah, he started 29th. He's riding up with the leaders. That's Randy LaJoie in the 20 car beside him.
12 cars in this lead draft.
We started talking about Morgan. He got hung on the inside and off going by on the outside. Sorry, Morgan. Here comes Mark Martin trying to look on the inside of Michael Waltrip. In the meantime, Ernie Irvan tries to go on the inside. Mark says, Ernie, don't do that. We got Earnhardt and Schrader on the outside in a pair of Chevys. We got Mark Martin and Ernie Irvan on the inside in a pair of Fords. And meanwhile, they're all chasing the Pontiac.
We will keep an eye on what happens as some great racing is occurring here in the Goody 300 from Daytona. Back in just a moment. Goody 300 Busch Grand National Race, part of Speedweek's 94. Michael Waltrip continues to lead this event.
Kenny Wallace sat on the inside in the black 8. I tell you what, Dale Jarrett qualified about 23rd, but he's quietly snuck his way up into that lead group.
Yeah, he's been picking off a few and coming up through there. He's up to about 8th now.
See, that's him in the yellow car just to the right, just the very last car on the right side of your screen. Morgan Shepherd there in the red and white car, right behind Dale Jarrett.
Here's the 87 car of Joe Nemechek. Slowing down, former champion of this series. Looks like he's going to be an early out in this event.
That's up in 3 and 4, and I hope he can get back. He's going awfully slow.
We're not quite to the halfway point. Michael Waltrip has had his ups and downs here today. He was the pole sitter and was the early leader of this event, but look where he was on the 33rd lap, down to 22nd. Then he began the movement toward the front once again, to 18th, then to 16th, then to 11th. On the 53rd lap, Michael Waltrip is our leader once again, ahead of Mark Martin, Ken Schrader, and Terry Labonte and others. Now Labonte.
That's Earnhardt in the street.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Dale Earnhardt.
Okay. Earnhardt is losing second position now, isn't he?
Well, he's been contested for that position. He hasn't lost it yet as Mark Martin pulls up behind Earnhardt. And let's see.
Terry Labonte had a notion to try to go between them, but said there's not quite that much room in there.
It's about a dead heat that time for the position. Meanwhile, Randy LaJoie doing a great job. That blue car right behind on him, the Fina Lube car, Randy LaJoie.
Yeah, he's found him a groove up on the outside and has just moved around several cars in the last 2 or 3 laps.
Now Schrader will challenge Waltrip for the lead.
Wow, where did that come from?
He got a good run off of turn 2 down on the inside and just moved right up beside him.
Man, oh man, he was contested. I thought he was having trouble passing Earnhardt. Well, now he is having trouble passing Michael. It looks like that the guys are having trouble running the bottom of 3 and 4, but they're going great on the bottom in 1 and 2. And that's really a characteristic of this racetrack. You run well at top in 3 and 4 and good on the bottom down in 1 and 2. Characteristic. There, I said it.
I wasn't going to quit. Looks like Schrader's car bottomed out there in that turn 2 area.
Might have got the left wheel down on the flat just a little bit.
Wow, look at Martin right in on the back bumper of Earnhardt.
And watch him move right on by Schrader as they hook up on the outside. Now Earnhardt goes to the inside of Michael Waltrip.
And gets the lead again.
Well, that's the first time that Earnhardt has run the bottom down in 3 and 4. He does it to take the lead. Well, he's unpredictable, that Earnhardt, isn't he?
Now it's Earnhardt, Martin, Waltrip, LaJoie, and Schrader. Randy LaJoie with a good run there in that 4th car back, the Fina Lube car, number 20.
He is having a great run.
As a matter of fact, he's taking a look on the inside of... This is back in the field. As LaJoie on the inside of Michael Waltrip. Now, guys, all of a sudden it looks like Michael's car has lost the handle just a little bit.
Again, yep. Loses positions to LaJoie and Schrader. Now Morgan Shepherd is on his back bumper.
Meanwhile, it looks like Andy Hellenberg in the 42 car that they're going by, the Budget Gourmet car. Yes, it is. Oh, they're saying that now he's loose. He was pushing the last time. They adjusted and evidently went a little bit too far. Now Michael has complained to the crew that he's loose.
We mentioned, John Kernan told us about the Hoosiers and the Goodyears in this event. At this point, near the halfway mark, the highest running Hoosier tire, 17th position, that would be the 99 of Robert Presley.
got a report that maybe Ernie Irvin's rearview mirror has fallen off.
Oh.
Now, how would you like, folks, to be behind somebody that doesn't have a rearview mirror running 200 miles an hour?
What, do you have to turn around and see who's behind you every lap? Would you do that?
Jeff Gordon told me the other night that back when I drove, they had bench seats. You could do that.
I heard that. That was great. Mark Martin now looks to the inside of Earnhardt.
Randy LaJoy.
Joy.
He is strong. That guy is very strong. He's going to try to push Martin on by. But here comes Schrader down on the inside. He foiled that little deal by LaJoy. Picked up some positions himself. Talking about Ken Schrader. He's going to move into second, it looks like.
And Mark Martin goes to the front again.
So meanwhile, Michael Walker comes back on the inside. So evidently Michael has changed his line around the racetrack to accommodate that loose car because now he's marching back towards the front.
Well, you know Earnhardt's might have to get back there in that position. He's going to try to come up and do something about it. Kenny.
Right down on the bottom of the racetrack in turn 2 down the backstretch, pulling alongside Schrader.
The outside line had a good run off the turn 2.
Kenny and Michael both able to keep Earnhardt back.
Schrader goes by on the outside to take the lead.
And you see Michael Walker slip up there in front of Randy LaJoy. He was going to try to go with Schrader, but couldn't quite get far enough up there, and now Mark Martin has moved in behind Schrader.
Jerry, what's the situation with that rearview mirror we heard about?
Well, you guys are exactly right. I spoke with Danny Marshburn, who's the crew chief for Ernie Irvin's Busch Grand National car. Ernie looked up to the mirror, just snapped off, and fell down in the car. Now, he cannot see at all behind him, so now he really has to rely on his spotter. His spotter basically has to be his eyes or his rearview mirror. And Ernie Irvin's spotter is Vic Irvin, his dad. As we are here in the just past approaching the halfway point here at Daytona International Speedway. 120 laps comprise the Goody 300. Back with more after this.
Battle continues up front. Just some tremendous racing here in the Goodies 300. Ken Schrader continues to lead, and Harry Gant is in the pits.
Yep.
In fact, he is going behind the wall and calling it a day, it appears, at least for the moment. Harry Gant.
I would guess that Harry would leave it behind the wall because he's not racing for the championship in Busch Grand National, so there's no point in keeping up those points.
3 wide racing down the backstretch once again. Terry Labonte on the inside, going around Earnhardt, and it was Morgan Shepherd to the outside.
Now Earnhardt has fallen from the lead back to the 7th spot. Jerry Punch, what's happening with Earnhardt?
Spoke with Tony Urey a minute ago, the crew chief here on Dale's Busch Grand National car, and Dale had radioed and said that the car was very loose. We got to be real careful we don't push the car on the bottom of the racetrack. That's what Dale said. But then the next lap by, Dale goes down on the bottom of the track in turns 3 and 4 and takes the lead, and now tries to work his car down on the bottom of the racetrack. So Dale says it's loose, but apparently he's living with it right now until they get their next pit stop somewhere around lap 80.
And we are in lap 63 right now, so we are just past the halfway mark. There is Kirk Shelmerdine in car number 19. He, of course, the former crew chief for Dale Earnhardt. Spent many years in the Winston Cup ranks as a crew chief. Now, how about that? He's coming up on the lead draft.
He is. He's picked up that lead draft and coming right up on it.
Ned's 17th.
Well, I am really impressed, Kirk. That is terrific. Wouldn't it be great if he could catch his former boss or driver, Dale Earnhardt, and draft on him? Say, okay, Dale, now you've told me all about this. Let me just see it in person.
Kirk ran, of course, extremely well in the ARCA race that we televised from here a week ago. And we talked then about how this guy is indeed a racer.
Earnhardt takes over that 5th spot from Michael Waltrip. Meanwhile, it's Schrader, Mark Martin, Terry Labonte, Randy LaJoy.
And Kyle is with Harry Gant. Kyle?
Well, I'm here with my motorcycle buddy, Harry Gant. We rode across country last year, but you ran really good at the beginning of the race. You run up there in the front, you led the race, you diced it out. Then you had a jack brake on that pit stop, and it got you caught in the back, and you never got caught up. What ended up happening?
Oh, the car was the Mannheim Auction Chevrolet here. Boy, it really ran super on the start, but I got a smell of some bearings, oil hot, going out early. And, you know, I tried to dice around and drop back and try to get a little more air before that caution came out. And when the caution came out, the jack broke and we got behind, and it just seemed like it wasn't going like it ought to. And they started calling my times down, and it's progressively getting slower, and it knocked the bearing out.
Well, that's it from Harry. I'll tell you what, it's going to give him a little bit more time to ride his motorcycle this afternoon anyhow.
You know, we talked about the Grand National guys and how they have not ever won this race since it's been a Busch Grand National Series, and the only Busch Grand National regular in the top 20, the top 10 right now, is Randy LaJoie. There's Shelberdine again.
He seemed to have caught that group. That's Rodney Combs right directly in front of him, driving the King's car. Richard Petty, the French's mustard car, going to campaign the entire circuit this year in the Busch Series.
John Kernan has a report on Kirk Shelberdine.
Well, you know, Bob, talking with Kirk Shelberdine and his crew, this is the team that Tom Peck drove for last year and years before. Kirk is coming in. Not only, you mentioned he's a professional driver, he's also a crew chief. He can help that team in setting up the car. This morning, they decided to go with a little bit softer spring in the right front of the car. They also put a full rubber in that spring so they could pull it out. Kirk's idea. I asked Butch Enders, the crew chief on that team, exactly how good it was to be working with someone with Kirk who could also drive a car and knew how to set one up. He says, oh boy, it makes my job really easy.
All he's got to do is make the hotel reservations now, and they'll be all set.
Well, the first 8 cars have broken away a little bit now. Sterling Marlin running in 9th place, a little bit behind the front 8 there. You can see a gap back to his yellow car.
And then Terry Labonte is trying to get second position from Mark Martin, and Dale Earnhardt will make it 3 abreast going into 3. Well, he'd already passed Labonte going into 3, so it wasn't as bad as we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I think Terry backed off just a little bit there. We don't need to have that kind of a scramble here at this point of the race.
And Earnhardt has moved up to the 3rd spot,
behind Mark Martin and Ken Schrader.
See Ernie Irvin and Michael up on the inside, and LaJoie pulls up on the back bumper of Earnhardt.
Now we see Sterling Marlin has caught that pack back, so now there are 9 cars in the lead draft. Well,
there's a little bit of separation between the first 4 and the rest.
They're separated here just the last couple of laps.
Yeah.
I think those guys will get in line. They'll be able to catch that lead group, but no one wants to get in line. You're not going to get in front of me, he said.
This is from Sterling Marlin's car. That's Morgan Shepherd on the right. And up ahead is Terry Labonte. Jerry Punch has a comment on those running up toward the front, Jerry.
Well, Bob, if you look at the front 3 cars, you know, remember Dale Earnhardt changed 4 tires on that caution flag pit stop on lap 29. We mentioned Kenny Schrader changed 2 right side tires and fixed the radio. What we didn't tell you was that Mark Martin did not change a tire at all. Steve Mills said, hey, these Goodyears are running so well, we're going to stay out there. And right now, next time by, lap 70, they will have run 175 miles on the same set of tires here at Speed. They're going to make a pit stop around lap 80, and they will put only 2 right side tires on. So they're going to make it all the way 300 miles, they hope, on left side tires.
Jack Roush is running like he doesn't have any money.
Well, that's quite a tribute to the Goodyear tires.
They're completing now 40 laps since a pit stop.
Folks, I was just being funny about Jack Roush not having any money. Certainly he does have money to buy the cars, but if it doesn't need them, there's no point putting them on. Right?
All right, let's take a look at our AutoZone race recap here as we have completed half distance. We have had Ken Schrader leading lap number 65. The lead changes have amounted to 11. There are 20 cars on the lead lap, and we've had 2 caution periods, bringing the average speed of the event down at this moment to 143.215. Those that have led a lap include the pole sitter Michael Waltrip, Martin, of course, Earnhardt, Elliott, Gant, Schrader, Marlin. Out of race, many of these because of the multi-car accident down between turns 1 and 2. Mike Stefanik, Chad Chapman, Jim Bound, Doug Hebron, and Mike Garvey.
All of those guys, plus Roy Payne.
David Green, Phil Parsons, Ricky Craven, Joe Nemechek also out of competition. And it is still Ken Schrader leading Mark Martin here in the Goodies 300 at Daytona International Speedway. Dale Earnhardt is third, followed by LaJoie and Irvin.
Speedway, our Speedway coverage today, the Busch Grand National Goodies 300, watching from the blimp.
Yeah, and our thanks for today's overhead coverage to Captain Daniels and the crew of the Goodyear blimp Stars and Stripes, headquartered in Pompano Beach, Florida. What a great perspective they have of what's going on below down on the 2.5-mile Daytona International Speedway.
I had an offer to ride in the blimp this week.
You did?
Family Channel blimp.
Why, you weighed too much? Is that why you didn't?
Man, I'm terrified of heights. I said no.
I'll tell you what. As we show you a field summary, nothing against blimps, but I rode in one many years ago, and I didn't particularly enjoy it. And I like airplanes and helicopters and all that kind of thing, but didn't find the blimp to my liking.
Then I made the right decision.
Yeah, I think you did.
As we see Tom Peck back in 20th spot. Now all these cars are lapped down. Bobby Dotter, Porter, Sadler, McDonald, and Elton Sawyer. Andy Hillenberg is 3 down, got some problems, and all these guys out of the field, out of the race.
Some of these drivers here, Benson and Fedewa and McLaughlin and Setzer, were all involved in that crash, but have been able to get back out of the track and at least complete a few more laps.
Here comes Mark Martin, takes a look.
And so did Earnhardt, but
Schrader came down, closed the door, and Mark looked like he had to get on the brakes a little bit the way the car wiggled.
Now there are 11 cars in the lead draft. The 12th place car of Kenny Wallace is back about 100 feet or so.
There's the 11 cars that Ned Jarrett was talking about. Fourth car is Ernie Irvin. Fifth car is Michael Waltrip.
The car number 9 of Mike Wallace coming into the pits. Maybe this is a scheduled pit stop. Green flag pit stop for Mike, who was running in the 16th position.
Looking out of Mark Martin's rear window at Dale Earnhardt.
The last time the drivers were in for pit stops was on lap 30. Here's Jerry Punch down at Mike's pit.
Unscheduled stop for Mike Wallace. They changed right side tires, and the car now is down pit road. The good thing about Mike Wallace's stop, even though he had a tire going down, if he had a flat on the right side, is that everyone will have to make one more stop, and Wallace can make it all the way. The problem is he's going to lose a lap as the leaders come by.
Yeah, he got out in front of the leaders, but their speed is much higher than his, and they will go by as he comes off turn 2. There he is down on the inside, and there goes Schrader by on the outside.
With the restrictor plate, it takes quite a while to get these cars up to speed, and so he does lose a lap, although he did get out in front of the leaders off of pit road.
Look at there. Earnhardt is about a bus length or a truck length behind Mark Martin.
Bit of a 2-car breakaway at the moment between Schrader and Martin, but Earnhardt isn't very far behind. There's Ernie Irvin and Michael Waltrip. Then LaJoie. We'll continue with our coverage of the Goodies 300 Busch Grand National race after these messages. Racing continues. Only 2 caution flags so far today. The fewest cautions, 3 in 1984. We hope we can set a new record here today, and we do anticipate some pit stops here very, very shortly. There is Dale Earnhardt moving to the low side of Mark Martin, trying to take over second position. That's Ken Schrader out in the lead. Ernie Irvin and Michael Waltrip are right behind Earnhardt as they come off of corner number 4 and down through the tri-oval.
And they've all ganged up on Mark Martin. Looks like they're going to send him back to about 11th spot unless he can get in someplace.
Morgan Shepherd peeled off and went into the pits in his cheerline car.
So he was in that lead draft. He comes in for a scheduled pit stop. There is Morgan Shepherd.
He was running in 8th place. Change of right side tires. Cleaned the windshield and he's trying to get it full of fuel.
There's the Wood brothers, his Winston Cup crew, changing the tires.
Well, we're going to see a lot of pit stop activity here in the next few moments. Jerry, what's the strategy being thought about down there?
Bob, as we know, with the plates on the motors here, you have to have a drafting partner. Earnhardt has radioed to his crew and told Tony Eury, guys, get the tires up, get on the wall. When Schrader makes a move, we're all going to follow him. Everyone's going to come at one time. So as they get ready to make their pit stop, they're probably only a lap or two away, and they will probably only take 2 right-side tires. Let's check in further up pit road with John Kernan.
Jerry, I'm in Michael Waltrip's pit. He and Sterling Marlin are pitted right next to each other on pit road, and consequently right now they're running almost nose to tail. They will plan to pit in about 2 laps. What they're talking about is possibly taking on 4 tires. So it could be very interesting to see how these round of pit stops all shake out with either 2 or 4 tire changes.
We should be seeing those very soon here.
Say one thing, they'd better make some great 4-tire stops. Otherwise, they're going to be in trouble.
Yep, even though they might be able to run faster on 4 tires. There's 97 in the pits.
Joe Bessie, they are holding him. Now they release him.
Probably too fast down pit road, maybe coming in. Tough break for him. But what I started to say, with 4 tires, you probably can run a little bit faster, but that extra time that you take depends on who you get with back there. You might not ever be able to make it up.
By the way, Joe Bessie did not start the car that he qualified. He was involved in a crash after qualifying, and he's driving today the car that was brought here and attempted to be qualified for the race by Rich Pickle.
Now, Morgan Shepherd made a great pit stop, but the Wood brothers got him out in a hurry. He stayed in the lead lap. He's about 500 yards in front of the leaders, but he's back up to speed now, so he's probably going to stay out there ahead of them until they have to make their pit stop.
Schrader's coming in. Our leader is coming in this time.
Michael Waltrip's going to follow him right down pit road.
Earnhardt.
Oh, there's a spin.
Oh, car in the wall.
It looks like Bobby Labonte. Yes, it is.
Yes, it's the 33 car of Bobby Labonte, the Dentine Pontiac.
Now, in the meantime, Earnhardt and Randy LaJoie has continued on down pit road. Are they going to stop, or are they going to go on down pit road? They probably will stop and be the leaders when this deal is over. Jerry Fudd, coming to you.
And they are pitting nose to tail. Benny Parsons, Dale Earnhardt's Goodwin Chevrolet, the Finaloop Chevrolet of Dick Moroso, Randy LaJoie, the driver. Right side tires on Earnhardt. They bumped the rear spoiler up. Earnhardt is complaining of the car being loose. They changed right side tires. He's revving it up. And now Earnhardt is waiting for Randy LaJoie, who is now going to change left side tires. They were hoping that LaJoie would come out behind him, but now LaJoie's team, Bob Johnson, the crew chief, electing to change all 4 tires on the Finaloop Chevrolet.
LaJoie is rolling again. Meanwhile, we look down toward turn number 4 and see Labonte's car stopped down there. This caution coming out on lap number 81. We also see the roof flaps on that car up so as to indicate that they worked. And the car got sideways and kept it on the ground. But it is our 3rd caution period of the afternoon. And let's take a look at it in replay. I have a feeling that this might have been caused when Schrader decided to come in and the others behind him jumped on the brakes and decided to follow him in. We will perhaps get a confirmation of that as we take a look at it.
There we see all the cars coming down pit road, and he's already backwards, so we really don't know what happened.
But you're probably right, Bob. Probably they started slowing down because those cars slowed down on the inside. See those flaps? They worked. When he got backwards, the flaps come up, scrub that speed off, and probably somebody tapped him in the rear.
Yep. And those cables I was talking about earlier kept the flaps from flopping on over. They just stand up at 90 degrees.
Yep. Great innovation on the part of NASCAR. So we're under caution because of the crash down in turn number 4. We'll be right back. Of the Busch Grand National Goodies 300 from Daytona International Speedway. Here's a replay of the reason we are under caution. Watch the top right of your screen for Bobby Labonte to come sliding through.
All these guys are coming down pit road. There we see the 19th car. He looks like he's sideways.
Yeah, he does.
Shelmerdine looks like he's a little bit sideways.
But look what he does. He steps on the gas. He passes several cars. In fact, he passed about the entire pack. And Kirk Shelmerdine, as a result of that, ended up in 4th position. Now he is coming into the pit area. But Kirk Shelmerdine really pulled off a nice move there. He is a crew chief turned race driver and is the focus this week of our Sears Die Hard driver profile. Kirk spent 13 years as a Winston Cup crew chief, including 8 with Dale Earnhardt, and his experience in that area, without question, has helped him in his driving career. We talked with Kirk.
I think that's what's gotten me by with my racing so far, is knowing about the cars as much as I do. Experience-wise, I'm really short as a driver. As far as miles or laps or whatever, I'm probably the lowest guy on the totem pole there, but experience with the equipment and the cars and all the other things that have to do with that, I'm probably near the top of the list there. As a team here, we want to have a better season than we have had in the past, and I think their performance in other years has not really shown their potential. And if we can come out of 94 looking back and say, well, this has been a better year than previous years was, and have 3 or 4 things to look on as accomplishments, that's really all we're asking.
Kirk Shelmerdine, and he is going to have a good restart position here when we go back to racing in hopefully just a few more laps. We are under caution because of an accident down in turn number 4 involving Bobby Labonte. He's okay, and we should be back to racing momentarily at Daytona International Speedway. Speedway for Speed World, and we will have a Speed Week live from here tomorrow at 5:30 in the afternoon, and we'll be able at that time hopefully to summarize the Daytona 500 and to talk with the winner of that event. Here we go back to Green Flag Racing. Randy LaJoie is the leader of this race with Mark Martin running in 2nd position. Couple of updates. Kirk Shelmerdine went into the pits 4th, came out 11th, and Michael Waltrip is the last car on the lead lap, 17th.
And Bob, the fans saw Dale Earnhardt in the pits at the same time Randy LaJoie was. He came out. They only changed right side tires. Well, he came back in once they opened pit road and changed left side tires, so that had put him back in the pack in 9th place on the restart. Doesn't look like he's going to stay there long, though. He's trying to get down on the inside.
Here we go with 3 wide again into turn 3. That's Schrader and Labonte on the bottom, along with Dale Earnhardt.
Sterling Marlin in the 4 car, the yellow 4 car. Kodak Fun Saver. Morgan Shepherd just went by us on the outside. Up against the wall.
17 cars in the lead lap, and they're all in the lead draft.
There is Waltrip. John Kernan, what was the situation with his recent pit stop?
Bob, Mike got just a little bit too anxious. They didn't quite have all the lug nuts on the left rear tire. He pulled away when he saw Sterling start to pull away. He had to come back down. They checked it out. The studs are okay. The tire's okay. They tightened it up. They sent him back out. But more importantly, they were able to make the adjustments on the car that they wanted. They bumped the spoiler up, and they also added a half a round of wedge. They say the car should be just about perfect right now.
I'm telling you, it is moving forward, isn't it?
Man, oh man, is it fast. And they are 3 abreast right in front of him.
The 2 Dales, Dale Earnhardt got up awfully close to, who's that on the outside of him coming out through that receive? Car number 23 of Chad Little.
They're still 3 abreast. Now Michael Waltrip is down on the inside.
And look behind them, they're 4 wide.
Now, fellas, this is when things happen, when you get like this.
Meanwhile, this is a race for about 3rd or 4th or something like that, because the 60 and the 20 are checking out on them. Up the 20 car. Where'd he go?
He's in the pits, Benny. He's pulling behind the wall.
Well,
behind the wall. Where have you been?
Randy LaJoie was leading the race. And there he is, just watching that big battle. And
Jerry, what's going on?
Bob, last time by, the car number 20 fairly had a bit of a miss and a sputter, and it came around, and the thing just let go. A tough break for Dick Moroso and the Bob Rinaldi engine at Penelope Chevrolet. Randy LaJoie only ran a few events last year with this team. He had 2 second-place finishes at Darlington on ESPN, of course, at Talladega to Dale Earnhardt. Hoping to maybe correct that today, but it's gone to the garage area, and the afternoon is over.
How about that? Here is a replay of what happened. There he just pulled out of line at the end of the backstretch.
And the caution flag is out. Is this
rain?
I think it's rain, yeah. Okay. There's a little bit of shower, and it looks like it's confined over to the second turn area. But it is raining, and John Kernan is with Randy LaJoie.
Man, I tell you what, Randy, you just pulled behind the wall. You were up front. What exactly happened?
I tell you what, we struggled all day long. got to the back, got back to the front, got to the back, come back to the front. His Fino Lube Moroso car was just running well. Got the lead, and I thought we were good for the rest of the race. Something happened to the motor. Very seldom happens to this Moroso engines, but something did happen to it.
Well, the way you ran today, you got to feel pretty good about the ride you are going to have for this team.
I tell you what, I'd like to thank all our associate sponsors. We got Kool-Aid, we got Northern Crystal Water, Bluebird Fruit Juices, Bowling Hana Meat Snacks. I tell you what, without them, this program couldn't be possible. And Fina and Moroso, I tell you, we're going to be strong all year.
That's Randy LaJoy. That's probably a promise. Remember, it's that great race he gave us last year at Darlington. He certainly should be one of the top Busch cars out there this year whenever he's running.
He got a beverage for every meal, didn't he?
He was the 85 Busch North, the champion, and he was originally from Norwalk, Connecticut, and is now making his home down in the southeast in Kannapolis, North Carolina.
Okay, I don't see any rain on the camera right now.
Well, there are a few drops. The problem is over in turn number 2. Oh, this is a shot from the blimp, and you can see that they're
raining up there.
Yeah.
Definitely raining up there. That's another reason I don't want to ride in the blimp. See, it's dry here, and it's raining up.
Now you can see, as he goes on to the backstretch, he's encountering rain.
No, he's going into turn 1 there.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, right. One of those passing showers. We've had these come up the past week, yeah, and interrupt things for a while, but they never last very long, and the track dries quickly. We'll show you a field summary, and you can have some time here to ascertain how your particular driver is doing in this event. Bill Elliott was up front at one time. He's now back to 10th position. By the way, we would like to say hi to Casey Elliott, who just celebrated his 20th birthday on the 13th of this month, last Sunday. As many of you know, Casey's in a battle with cancer, and he had surgery recently, and we understand that everything went very well. And Casey, we hope to see you back at the racetrack very, very soon. And a hello to Robert G., former Busch Grand National owner, who is in the Raleigh Rehabilitation Hospital after suffering a stroke. Robert, our best wishes are with you.
Now look at that blue sky. Let's go race down where that blue sky is.
Out over the ocean, which is that direction. It's all clear.
See, now it stopped raining. Going in the third corner, it stopped raining. Amazing how it can rain in half this racetrack and not at the other half.
All right, we are under a caution because of rain here at Daytona. You're watching coverage of the Goody's 300 Busch Grand National Race.
Bridge run.
Kyle Petty, John Kernan, and Jerry Punch back with you at Daytona, where earlier today, round number 1 of the Mayflower Truck Drivers Challenge Series was held.
It's just an outer boundary. You can't go farther. Okay?
They're getting the rules.
Yeah, the briefing to the drivers, as we normally see.
Now these trucks are taking off. They're timing them. They have to, there's an observer, watch them as they go through pylons. They have to stop and back up. And can you imagine backing up about a 60-foot tractor and trailer? Well, he couldn't imagine it, so.
I can't imagine backing a car through there, let alone a big truck. Now, these are the truck drivers of several of the Winston Cup teams that compete regularly. And look at them maneuver that big rig through those pylons.
Watch as they're turning that steering wheel.
This is the first of 4 challenges we will have this year. The next will be at Atlanta, then Michigan, and then Darlington. Now, each individual winner wins $1,000, and the guy who wins the overall championship will take home $15,000, plus will be given a trip to New York City, the banquet.
As Richard Bostic, the truck driver on the 40 car, driven by Bobby Hamilton, that's an in-car cab camera or whatever.
A year ago,
and there was a winner.
Ricky Simmons won here a year ago, but it was grumpy again, Benny.
Mike Culberson, who was the champion in 1993, won the first round and $1,500. So there'll be a party in Daytona tonight.
And congratulations to all who participated. We'll look for you at round number 2 in Atlanta. Here's an overhead shot of the Speedway. You notice Lake Lloyd there on your right. That was created by the creation of the banks here and a very leisurely boat that is out on Lake Lloyd this afternoon. That place wasn't so leisurely yesterday during the Goody's Dash race. That's David Hutto spinning to the inside. But now watch to the far left. David Stacy's car slides all the way to the dirt embankment separating the infield from Lake Lloyd, and Stacy goes plop into Lake Lloyd. That has not happened since Bay Darnell did it in 1964, and only the third driver in history to do it. It landed wheels down. You can see the safety worker there making sure he doesn't get his feet wet. But when Dave Stacy climbed out of the car, hey, he doesn't care about getting his feet wet. Just get me out of here. We're glad to report that Dave was not injured whatsoever. He was checked over at the Infield Medical Center and released. But what a ride for David, huh?
Ned, is it true that Tom Pistone used to wear a life vest when he drove here at Daytona on this racetrack?
Seems like he did. I don't, was Tommy Irwin the other driver that had gone in there?
I think he was the first, 1960, and then Bay Darnell in 64. And we also might tell you that Mike Garvey, who crashed here earlier today, we've checked on him, and he is okay, and in fact is already on his way home. So we're getting set after this brief shower to resume our racing here in the Goodies 300. We'll be back for that in a moment.
Why use a minute ago for Robert G. and Casey Elliott, but how about some special memories here in the Dale Earnhardt pit? That is Neil Bonnet on Dale Earnhardt's tool cart here in the pits, always smiling, Neil Bonnet. You see the picture down low and the picture back up in the last race car he drove. Neil Bonnet here in the thoughts of everyone's, particularly Dale Earnhardt, who is dedicated today and tomorrow to his fallen buddy who lost his life 8 days ago in a practice crash. Back upstairs.
The green flag comes out on lap number 94, and guys, regardless of what has happened here or what will happen in the Daytona 500 tomorrow, I'm always going to remember 1994 for the loss of Neil Bonnet, also for the death of Jack Foster, and of course the fatality that claimed the life of Rodney Orr. It has not been a pleasurable 2 weeks that we have been here, and we express our sympathies to all the families of the drivers involved. There's the 52 car Schrader, and he's slow on the track.
Schrader looks like he's lost a cylinder, an engine, something. He just did not get up speed. Meanwhile, here comes Michael Walter way down on the inside.
Running on the inside of Dale Jarrett. Here comes Earnhardt. Schrader was running in second place on the restart, but his car just simply didn't go.
And look at Michael Walter come through this pack.
What happened to Randy LaJoie, who was running up toward the front, and his car stopped on a restart, and the same thing with Kenny Schrader. Mark Martin is your leader. Marlin is second, Labonte third, and then a scramble.
And it looks like Michael Waltrip is leading that scramble right now. He is. Calling the outs. Oh, the crash up there in the corner.
Well, it isn't going to be a crash. It's going to be a near crash.
Going to be. That's
wow.
true.
That's Shelberdine.
Shelberdine got pretty heavy contact in the outside retaining wall. That green car right in front of him is Joe Bessie. They made some contact going in the corner, and Shelberdine brushes the wall and looks like he's going to have to come to pit road and at least check it over.
Well, we've seen another example of his tremendous driving ability. Not only is he fast and able to be up front, but look what happens when he gets into the fence at Daytona.
Well, look at him go up and just smack the wall. But maintain control. Great job, Kirk.
No kidding. He was 2 laps down by the 97 car, I should say, of Joe Bessie was 2 laps down. That's the car that was just ahead of Kirk.
Yeah, Kirk was running up in the top 10.
Yeah, in the lead.
The car in the very back is, again, Rodney Combs. Richard Petty's Busch Grand National entry this year. There goes Earnhardt by Terry Labonte. Here comes Bill Elliott.
Elliott is back in the thick of things.
Meanwhile, here comes Sterling Marlin trying to take the lead. Michael Walker is going to follow him, help him out. And Marlin goes by Mark Martin.
Earnhardt going to try to follow through on the inside. Mark with nobody to help him up there now. No drafting partner.
He's going to fall from the lead back to, who knows, whenever he can get in line again.
Yeah, who knows where he's going to end up. Ooh, somebody going by Earnhardt on the inside. That was the Ernie Irvin car, the 28 Mac Tools car.
And Waltrip drops to the inside, making it 3 wide down through the...
Wrong with
I was going to say, I hesitated, but yep, there is something wrong with this car.
Man, oh man, he and Schrader both. What happened, Jerry? What happened to Kenny Schrader, Jerry?
Benny, probably when they restarted the race just a moment ago, Schrader said the car began to sputter and then miss violently. Apparently, they have dropped the cylinder, and so Kenny Schrader's crew will begin to pack up here in the pits, and Schrader will take that car back to the garage area.
And a major disappointment for Michael Waltrip, as he, too, will be limping toward the pit area.
Does he have a problem maybe with the spoiler on his car?
That's one of them. Our spotters are saying that the right side of his spoiler fell off.
Well, he's still out on the racetrack. He's going by right now. Yes, the right side of the spoiler is off, right, John Kernan?
That
That's exactly right. At first, Michael felt it. When it came off, he thought he had a tire that had gone flat. But then the spotter saw that the right side of the spoiler had come off of the race car. And it's sitting on the racetrack right now. You can see where it has come off. What a disappointing day for this team. They're now sitting in there trying to figure out how to get the problem fixed. But I'm telling you what, can you imagine, Vinny, what is it like to drive that race car out there with half a spoiler?
Well, I don't know how it didn't spin out because the rear window came out of my car one time and I spun down through there. I don't know.
By the way, that spoiler is on the apron of the racetrack, is out of the groove down.
And there, NASCAR is going to black flag Michael and make him go in and put that spoiler on. There, the black flag is being displayed as Michael goes by.
Oh, what a tough break. He had an awfully good race car.
But up front, the battle continues, and it is a great battle. Sterling Marlin leading. We'll be right back.
Split fight.
Ernie Irvin now leading this event. Mark Martin running second, followed by Bill Elliott and Dale Earnhardt. Those four broken away just a little bit from the rest of the pack. Terry Labonte running back in fifth position, leading the second group.
Then comes Dale Jarrett and Sterling Marlin. All the Winston Cup drivers up front.
Bill Elliott has had an up and down day. He's back up to third position, but he was as far as 12th back on lap 78. Then moved to 6th, fell back to 10th, stayed there for a few laps, but now is in third spot. Michael Waltrip is in. Here's Kyle.
Yes, this thing seems to be, it's not come unbolted from the deck lid. It's broken. It's actually broken where they welded the thing together. Michael's complained about his car being pushy. He's complained about his car being loose. They feed on the spoiler. That's one of the major adjustments on these Pontiacs, and I well know that, to get the car tighter or to loosen the car up. And evidently they just adjusted it so much it's broken the weld. So, you know, I cannot believe that he hung on to the car in the middle of a pack, much less drove it around there by himself. I mean, I wouldn't want to be out there like that, Bob.
Man, oh man, that was scary.
And we see he's turned the engine off, and they're talking to him. He's only one lap down, I think, right now. Meanwhile, the leader's on the back straightaway, and it looks like they have the rear spoiler changed, so he might get back on the racetrack. Only one lap down. We'll see.
Ernie Irvin leading Mark Martin. Here comes a field summary for you. First three cars are fourth there. They're putting a lap on Kirk Shelmerdine, who had an encounter with a wall a few laps ago.
We have 3 Fords and Earnhardt.
Yep.
This is from inside Mark Martin's car. Not long ago, we had 18 cars in the lead lap. Now we're down to 13.
19 laps to go.
And those 4 cars have broken away from the second pack. Second pack being led by Terry Labonte, Dale Jarrett, Sterling Marlin, and the car number 23 of Chad Little. They're in the 4-car pack themselves.
When we started this race, there were 3 times as many Chevys as Fords. 30 Chevys started, 10 Fords started, but up front we have Ford, and then Chevy. Here's Kyle once again, who's with Michael.
I'm sitting here with Michael Waltrip, who was watching the race from the head of the pack a minute ago. He did a tremendous job. You come from 17th on that last race, start back up there to lead it. I can't believe that you drove the thing without the spoiler on it. I mean, I got to give you that one. I was going to give you a little flack here, but I tell you what, the car you had today was absolutely incredible. I know this is going to be one of those things you think about. I cried for 2 weeks after Daytona last year, but man, I hate to see it happen.
It just sucks to sit here and watch, you know, watch them without being out there, because I called them on the radio. I said, if we don't win this race, it's my fault, because we got the best car. And going into one of all places, the spoiler blew off and it turned sideways. And I thought maybe I had a tire go down, and wanted to feel it for 3 and 4, and I knew something was wrong. Just a disappointment. And then when the spoiler flew off and I was getting ready to come to pits, I think it broke the valve or something. So
I tell you what, a disappointment for Michael Waltrip, but I can tell you what, the way they ran today, they'll be back, man.
And the streak continues. This race has never been won from the pole position. Michael is our pole sitter. Yep.
Well,
I know Pat Ryder has to be terribly disappointed. That's Michael's car owner's wife. She's sick up in Charlotte watching this race and was hoping for a get-well present. Pat, it didn't happen today, and I'm sorry.
Watching from Mark Martin's perspective, up ahead is Ernie Irvin, the leader of the Goody's 300, coming off of the fourth turn and in the tri-oval.
Hey, guys, I tell you what, it looks like Earnhardt might be in just a little bit of trouble because these three Fords pulling away from Earnhardt just a little bit.
And we have three groups of cars running together. There's pack number 2 being led by Labonte, and then back to the third group of cars, and I believe that's Morgan Shepherd, isn't it?
It certainly is. He and Kenny Wallace leading that pack. And there's Kurt Shelmerdine. He's been in the pits, checked his car out. And also Hermie Sadler in the 25 car. Virginia is for Lover's sponsored car.
Hermie is 14th. He's being shown as 1 lap down. Earnhardt is falling back. It's becoming a 3-car battle for the lead now as the Fords are pulling away from Earnhardt. Ernie Irvin, Mark Martin, Bill Elliott, the front 3 in the closing laps of the Goody's 300. We'll be right back. The conclusion of the Goody's 300. It is still Ernie Irvin leading this race, followed by Martin and Elliott.
Meanwhile, Earnhardt's trying his best to hang on, but it looks like he's losing, Ned.
Yeah, he's losing, and in fact, the pack behind him is catching him.
So the chance of him winning 5 consecutive Goody's 300 races is lessening at the moment, but hey,
don't count him out. Whatever you do.
No, not yet. There is Labonte, Jarrett, Sterling Marlin in that second group as they catch up with Dale.
Now we'll see when that group catches Earnhardt if they will be able to go on towards the front, but
they could hook up and help Dale, I suppose.
Well, they could, but that threesome is running faster than that foursome that's catching Earnhardt right now. Now, whether he can lead them faster once they catch up to him than they've been running themselves, I don't know.
That remains to be seen.
The group is Labonte, Dale Jarrett, Sterling Marlin, and Chad Little.
And they pulled pretty far ahead of the 9th place car, which is Morgan Shepherd, and 10th is Kenny Wallace.
Watching from Sterling Marlin's car, and now from Mark Martin's.
That's the leader right directly in front of Mark Martin, the Mac Tools Ford.
Ernie Irvin. They called Earnhardt, and they're going to pass him.
Yep.
Terry Labonte is at least.
Here they come. Yep, Labonte is to the inside of him. Now Dale Jarrett goes down there. They are passing Dale Earnhardt.
Yep. Dale Jarrett was not able to get by.
Didn't quite clear him. See which way Sterling Marlin's going to go. Is he's going to follow Jarrett, it looks like, to try to push him on by. Because they knew they called Earnhardt, so they figured they're faster than he is.
And meanwhile, Chad Little in the Bayer car pulls up and gets behind Earnhardt, gives him a little shot. So they're side by side.
Now that just allows that other group up front to pull farther away.
You can bet that Dale Earnhardt at the moment is thinking about how he can win this race. On the other hand, he's thinking, well, maybe if I don't win this race, it'll be a good omen because he has won this race the last 4 years and has failed to win the Daytona 500. So maybe he'll have better luck in the Daytona 500 tomorrow. Here's Chad Little, started 38th, was as high as second on lap number 84. He's currently in 8th position, has not led a lap so far.
And while he and Jarrett run side by side, Earnhardt and Terry Labonte are pulling away from them.
Yeah, they're checking out. They really need to get in line, and Sterling Marlin comes up and helps Dale Jarrett, so maybe those two guys, those 3 cars can get hooked up and now go to the front. But now Chad and the 4 cars side by side.
And that's not good.
Oh, Mark Martin blues up. Blues up. Yep, he sure did. Oh, man.
Blues up.
Big puff of smoke right at the finish line, the start-finish line. And Mark takes his Winn-Dixie Ford to the inside of the racetrack, and he will not win the Goody's 300.
That's a combination of blue and blown. Blue and blue. So here we're going to see him going about 30 miles an hour down the back straightaway rather than normal 200 miles an hour. Most of those cars go by.
Wow. Here it is again. Watch him come off the 4th corner.
Still following right along behind Ernie Irvin. Moved down on the inside of a lap car. And all of a sudden, he just pulls her down to the inside, and you see that little puff of smoke from it.
Mark Martin drops out of the Goody's 300. Our coverage will continue after these messages. In the Goody's 300 Busch Grand National race from Daytona International Speedway. You're watching Ernie Irvan on the left and Bill Elliott on the right, first and second down the backstretch.
What it looks to me like that third group is catching them, Ed.
The second group is catching them. That is correct. Now, whether they can't run as fast as a twosome as they did while a threesome, don't know. But Terry Labonte, Dale Earnhardt, Dale Jarrett, and Chad Little, Sterling Marlin are gaining.
High above Daytona International Speedway is the Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes. Goodyear Blimps are now in their 4th decade of live television coverage, and as per usual, it has provided some great overhead shots this afternoon.
There we see our leaders, but still we can't see that second group in the shot, the third place car, but there they come. And you can see it's not that much distance between the first two and the third place car of Terry Labonte.
In the last couple of laps, Vinny, they have gained on them to cut down the distance in half at least. And in fact, they're moving in at a quick pace right now. Another lap, they'll be up there with them.
Yes, they will. Wow, look how close to how fast they're catching up.
That's interesting that the three cars could run so fast together, but when there was only two, they just can't run that fast.
Now then, what do these guys do? That's what's going through their mind right now. What do I do to win the race? All those cars right there, from Chad Little forward, they're all trying to figure out what they got to do to win the race. And I don't think they're going to think about Chevrolets or Fords or whatever. It's going to be very selfish.
They'll be very selfish, yeah.
That's right.
No doubt.
And they caught him, Ned.
Sure have. Labonte is now right up on the back bumper. Well, Kyle, what do you think's going to happen here?
I was just standing here thinking the same thing, man. When you get caught in that position, you know, you make your own move. I tell you what, you get there, nobody's got any friends, you make your own move. I've been beat by not making a move, and I've been beat by making a move, and I felt a whole lot better getting beat by not making a move, and at least trying.
Yeah. At least you try. Well, 6 of them are right together.
Kyle, they look pretty even, don't they?
I tell you what, this looks like the IROC race yesterday. These cars have been incredibly even all day. Michael Waltrip had the best race car here from the time they dropped the green flag on, but everybody else is really, really equal. What do you see, Jerry?
Well, Kyle, Ernie Irvan's got his hands full right now. A lot of cars behind him. Remember, early in the race, the rear view mirror fell off the inside of that car. On their previous pit stop, the crew took enough time to tie wrap the mirror back in the car, and Ernie right now has a mirror full of cars right behind him.
Good thing he put one on, huh?
Meanwhile, as we watch this group of cars, Sterling Marlin in the 4 car has lost the draft. You see that yellow car is missing from the back of the... He has lost the draft. He's by himself. He can't catch up by himself. There he is.
Yep. It wasn't too many laps ago that he was running right up at the front, but he's out of the draft.
Yeah, unless they would start running side by side for several laps, that's the only chance he would have.
He's back in 7th.
And Chad is... He looked on the outside of Dale Jarrett going in turn 1, not able to make the pass.
Jarrett's car didn't look too stable in that turn. Picks back up on the straightaway.
None of these drivers has ever won a Busch Grand National Goody's 300.
What do you mean,
Except Earnhardt.
Except Earnhardt.
Well, Earnhardt.
4 in a row.
None of the top 3.
They're all trying to figure out exactly what they can do. And they're probably all trying to figure out how they can beat Earnhardt.
Well, they know he'll be a factor.
Oh, Bill Elliott is. What's he trying to do? Get a run on Ernie or what?
I don't know. Ernie got an awfully good run off of that turn. Is something happening to his car?
I think so.
Yes, something is happening to Bill Elliott.
Elliott's off the pace and a big puff of smoke from the number 11 Budweiser Ford, and Elliott drops out.
Well, here goes Terry Labonte on the high side. He got Earnhardt up there with him. They're trying to move around that lone Ford there now. They got that. The Fords were the class for a while, but then they dropped by the wayside one by one. And Ernie Irvan's got his hands full with Chevrolet.
Now Terry Labonte has assumed command of this race with less than 4 laps to go.
Of course, Chad Little running the Ford, so Ernie has a little bit of Ford company there, but they're running side by side. That's going to kill them if they aren't careful.
Yep. And everyone asks why that NASCAR in 1995 are going to put V8s in the Busch Grand National cars. For that very reason, the 6 cylinders have just not proven to be 500 miles compared to the engine.
And then some of them have been 300 miles here today.
And Ernie has fallen all the way to the back of this pack. Can he catch up? Is his car good enough to catch up? I don't know.
I don't know. It doesn't look like it right now.
117 laps are completed. It's Labonte, Earnhardt, then Jarrett, and Little. Less than 3 to go.
Earnhardt's won for 2 in a row. He won the IROC race yesterday afternoon.
That's right.
Ernie looks like he might be in a little trouble.
Looks like we got 4 cars that are going to go for the win.
First time Terry Labonte has ever led the Goody 300. We've had several firsts in that category here today. Labonte started back in 26th position.
I'll tell you what, every one of those guys wants to win and needs to win, but Chad Little, what a big win that would be for him.
You bet.
Well, Ernie's still hanging on, barely.
2 laps to go. Next time, they'll get the white flag.
Well, we hear that Ernie hasn't said anything on the radio, but he's out of the draft there now. Unless they get side by side in front of him, is about the only way he's going to be able to catch up. And I've got a prediction that we're going to see some of them get side by side here pretty shortly.
It's going to happen here pretty soon. Earnhardt trying to figure out low, high, which way does he go?
I think he's going to need for Dale Jarrett to go with him, whichever way it goes.
A lot of passing going on, though, behind these guys. That's Hermie Sadler down to the inside of the 99 car of Robert Presley.
All right, now back to the leader. Meanwhile, here we come. White flag.
1 lap to go.
Labonte takes it.
Can Earnhardt win his 5th consecutive Goodies 300? He's in 2nd place at the moment behind Terry Labonte as they head into turn number 1 for the final time. Now Dale Jarrett taking a look to the outside of Dale.
Now Earnhardt backs up a little bit to try to get a run, looks like.
Here they come. If Earnhardt is going to make his move, he'll have to do it soon. He goes to the inside. Now he looks to the outside. He cannot make a move as Labonte will not let the groove open up. Now Earnhardt goes to the inside of Terry, and he's going to pass him.
Man, oh man, oh man.
Terry might wind up 4th in this race. Jarrett goes to 2nd.
Here comes Chad Little side by side with Labonte now, and Dale Earnhardt is going to do it. He's going to win his 5th consecutive Goodies 500. There's the checkered flag. Chad Little does get 3rd position by a bumper over Terry Labonte. Earnhardt has won it again.
That's unbelievable.
Here's a battle coming down to the line as Morgan Shepherd leading Wallace, Presley, and Sadler. Kenny Wallace, that is.
How about that?
How about that? 15 laps ago when he was out of the lead draft back there in 4th position.
I told you not to count him out.
Well, I didn't count him out. You never count out Dale Earnhardt, but you began to wonder if he was going to be able to do it. And by golly, he did. Let's take a look at it again. How Dale Earnhardt looked, and finally made his move down the backstretch, going into turn number 3. Here they are coming off of the 2nd corner.
He tries to go on the inside. Watch as he backed up a little bit down in 1 and 2 to get him a run. Now he goes down the inside. Labonte blocks that move. Now he goes back to the outside. Labonte goes, it's okay, I better go out to the outside and block that move. Just what Earnhardt was waiting for. Back to the inside he comes.
He had good momentum going into the turn, and then Dale Jarrett pulled in there behind him, and that helped to push him right on by.
It's his 22nd Busch Grand National win, and it's his 7th overall Goodies 300 win and 5th in a row. And this is the race that Dale Earnhardt really wants to win, the Daytona 500 that is coming up tomorrow. We'll be back in Victory Lane to talk with Dale Earnhardt after this. YU's bridge to Captain Richard Daniels and the crew of the Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes from Pompano Beach, Florida. There's the overhead view of Victory Lane. And it is a great celebration that's going on down there. Let's go down for our split fire winner's circle interview. Here's Dr. Jerry Punch.
And Dale Earnhardt climbs out of the Goodrich Chevrolet. Dale, 5 in a row, 7 overall. Congratulations.
Is that not unbelievable? You know, it's hard to believe this is the same old car we won all 4 of the last races, and we won with the other car. But this old race car keeps doing it. Tony Urey and Spenny Clendon and all the boys that have done the engine and chassis stuff, they just did a super job. And I got to hand it to Robert G. He helped us with the body some this winter and helped the car tremendously. And Neil Bonnet helped us in testing. You know, he was with us all day long and in the race and our hearts. And I can't say enough about that family. And I'm looking forward to seeing David up at Rockingham. He's going to be up there racing with us in the Busch Series. So we look for him up there. But I just thank the Lord for a safe race. It was a great day for us. I didn't believe we had anything for them when them Fords checked out on us, and they just kept on working around there, and something would happen to one, something would happen to the other one, and heck, we're in victory lane again.
5 in a row. You mentioned the fact that all the thoughts are with Neil Bonnet, and of course you've got a couple of guardian angels now looking down. Neil Bonnet from above and your dad, Ralph Earnhardt. Could this be the year? Could this be the omen? You came from nowhere to win this one today.
I don't know. Your luck's with you, and the folks, you know, are dear to our hearts, or we've lost and are there, and maybe they're helping us out, and I know we pulling for them, the families, and you know, it's just an emotional thing, and you don't think about it much, but you know they're there with you in their hearts.
The last lap, you made a couple of moves on Terry Labonte, trying to go high, low, and then when did you finally decide to make the move that got you by?
Well, I didn't know which way to go, really. Jerry, it was one of them deals that I figured he had me beat. I figured the 32 car was going to get, going to get side by side with me, and it was going to be over with. And I'd be doggone if we didn't mess around there and get slipped in there and get slipped up under Terry, and here we are in victory lane. It's unbelievable.
An emotional Dale Earnhardt in victory lane, getting his 7th Goodies 300, and Earnhardt gets a big hug from wife Teresa. That's Taylor Nicole, his little daughter here, and all of the crew standing by. A very emotional victory after it's been a very difficult week for this entire race team.
Dale Earnhardt in victory lane once again, and that sign there says it all. Neil Bonnet, 51, Alan Kowicki, 7, Davey Allison, 28, and Rodney Orr, 37. Winners forever. We will come back to wrap up our coverage of the Goodies 300 here at Daytona, won by Dale Earnhardt. It's my buddy from Speed World, being brought to you by Valvoline. People who know use Valvoline. Dale Earnhardt wins the Goodies 300. The highest finishing Busch Grand National regular was in 8th position. Let's go down to pit road. Here's John Kernan.
Well, Kenny Wallace in the 8th place finish, car number 8. First ride with the team. You should be pretty happy about that, but you thought you could win this race, didn't you?
Well, you know, if you go back and watch the replay, I guess it was about 28, 29 laps to go there. Everybody bottled up on the inside. I shot to the outside up behind, I guess it was a 98 car. Went out there and passed about 5 of them and got freight train down the back straight. I could have ripped the steering wheel off, but it was the wrong move and just lost the draft, and me and Morgan were hung out to dry there. But, you know, it was my first time in the TIC Ford, first time driving a Ford, and you know, we're going for this championship. We finished 8th, and that's some good points to go on to Rockingham.
Okay, thank you very much. A good finish for Kenny Wallace. Look to him to run up front when they get to the Rock.
Now let's go through the entire unofficial finish as Dale Earnhardt wins, and the top 7 drivers were Winston Cup regulars for the most part. And, guys, I think it could be summed up by just saying that, as per usual, the Goodies 300 here at Daytona was great.
Well, experience paid off once again, Bob, as we have said so many times on super speedways, and it seems more here than anywhere else.
And what a terrific race, Bob.
It really was.
Right. It was just a magnificent race, and my heart goes out to Michael Walter because he needs a win here in Daytona so badly, and the spoiler came off the car.
We did have a multi-car crash up between turns 1 and 2, but everybody got out okay. So it was a great race. Dale Earnhardt is your champion once again. Speed Week tomorrow at 5:30 in the afternoon Eastern Time. We'll wrap up the Daytona 500 and talk with the winner of that event. Now, in terms of our next coverage of Winston Cup competition, it will be in Darlington, South Carolina, the Trans-South 400. That's at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, Sunday afternoon, March the 27th. My thanks to Ned Jarrett, Benny Parsons, Jerry Punch, John Kernan, and Kyle Petty, who had a great debut here on ESPN. Congratulations once again to Dale Earnhardt for his victory over Dale Jarrett and Terry Labonte here at Daytona. This is Bob Jenkins. So long, everyone.